Flip side of the coin, though. I know you have some favorites. I know you're going to put down some pretty good wagers this weekend. You got someone you're eyeing that you think can capture this and possibly a dark horse?
One of the guys I'm really looking at really closely, I'm close to pulling the trigger on is your one and only favorite, Patrick Reed.
Oh God. Oh
And as
God.
much as you love Patrick, um,
Patty R.
look, he's a guy that just Pat he's a guy that he's a grinder, right? He
Mhm.
strikes me as the U.S. Open type. He's got the game for it, and he won here at Torrey Pines last year at the Farmers Insurance Open or earlier this year. And the thing about Patrick is, again, he plays really well in difficult fields. He's had a lot of success at Torrey, and I think he's on the verge of breaking breaking away and winning another major championship. And you can get him at really good odds right now. He's a guy that I could see hoisting the trophy on Sunday. So he's a guy that I really like. I do think Xander is a good play. He went to the arm walk putting recently, which I think has really helped him. He's talked about how much easier it is and how much control he has. And that's kind of an area that he's been working on. So if that shows up, I think Xander's an interesting play with his course experience. He hasn't had very good results here, unfortunately. I think there's something to be said about that, playing in a tournament in your hometown, a lot of people that you have to say hi to and all this kinds of stuff. So, but the guy that I picked at the beginning of the year to win the US Open was Jon Rahm. And the reason why is not only does Jon have incredible success at Torrey Pines alone, but the tournaments that he typically tends to win are the tournaments that are a lot higher scoring as opposed to lower scoring, right? So the difficult golf courses, we saw him win the Memorial, I believe last year, and then of course this year we'll talk about that later. But he's the type of guy that when the scoring is closer to even par, he's going to be right there. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He can still make a lot of birdies. He knows Torrey very, very well, and he does very well out of thick rough. And when the fields are really strong and the course conditions pick up, he's a guy that I'm looking at. And I think what happened a couple weeks ago at the Memorial is only going to motivate him more, to be honest with you. So Jon Rahm is probably the number one guy I'm looking at. But if you're looking for someone with a little bit better odds, Patrick Reed is a guy that I love.
Let's just go to that right now. I think that was a great segue. So you mentioned Patrick or Jon Rahm at the Memorial. I mean, he was kicking everyone's ass, and I was thinking because I knew I was gonna have a pod with you. I was like, God, this would be great momentum headed into the U.S. Open because I agree. When I was covering him, unfortunately, the day that Kobe Bryant passed away, he was in contention for the lead. That course fits his style very well. So, I think that's something to definitely take a look at betting wise for sure. Back to the whole instance. So for people that didn't know, this was 2 weeks ago now. I think he was 6 strokes or 5 strokes ahead of like the person in second. I can't remember. And he finishes his round, and it was just a great round in general. And there was this eerie feeling because, there was an official that came up to him, and, you have Nance and Faldo, and, it's just, there's always a more somber tone to golf. It's not like a fucking basketball game where it's like, oh, you fucking fast break. It's not going to be like that. You hear the people like clapping for Rahm, and then it gets really weird because that he does this whole thing where he drops down, puts his hands in his face. Now, in the moment, I thought, oh my God, I really hope like a parent or someone didn't die. Like that's for whatever reason. I don't know why my instinct went to that. I just thought, okay, let's just pray. It's good vibes. And no one was, because that would just be awful. It'd be dreadful to see. And then you hear him say, oh no, not again. And then everyone starts putting the puzzles or the pieces of the puzzle together. And it's like, there's no way it's COVID. There's no way. Cause the entire round he was shaking hands and high-fiving and then, all that. So then unfortunately after CBS, I don't know how you thought about this. It just kind of ticked me off, but like CBS for whatever reason thought it was okay to show it like 20 times, him just going down, just pissed off and upset and then walking away with his hat on his face. How do you feel? What was your reaction, I guess, in real time? And now that you've had some time to digest it, how the PGA handled that one, how the health officials handled that two, and then three, maybe the media side will just keep showing that replay incessantly.
Yeah, I'm like torn, right? Because I think the PGA Tour did what they thought was right, so
Yeah.
I can't bash them for that. And kudos to Jon Rahm for handling it with absolute class. I mean, even today I saw his interview. I think it was earlier today or yesterday, where they kind of obviously asked him about it, and he just had nothing but good things to say about the PJ Tour and how they did what they had to do to keep everyone safe.
Mhm.
And so love the guy and love that he's on board with it and he backed them. So that makes me a little more bullish on the whole situation. I don't like that CBS played it over and over. There's no need for
It
that.
was ridiculous, right? Like I was
Yeah.
like, I was so pissed. I was like, why would you keep showing that?
Yeah. I mean, look, the guy obviously was upset. You're at the time, you're up 6 going into Sunday, right? You're gonna have a 6-shot lead. With a guy as good as he is, you want to think it's almost everything but in the bag at that point. And then to hear that after 3 solid rounds of golf that you've played, you have to withdraw from the tournament after all that hard work. It's got to be frustrating. Don't show the guy when he's down. But as far as the officials, my theory on it, and I think I've heard some other people say this, is perhaps it was just to keep everybody else safe. Tell
Mhm.
him before he goes and high fives and gives knuckles to all the kids and fans and signs things. I don't know if that's true. So maybe that's the reason why they did it out in the open. But regardless, it sucks that he was playing as well as he was and had to withdraw. But again, I think it just builds a ton of momentum. His game's in the right place.
Mhm.
Just he passed the eye test all week. He was hitting incredible shots. His putter was on. So I think he's right where he needs to be to go out and win it this weekend. And also being in a course where he has a lot of success. He got his first PJ Tour win here, I believe, in 2017. So yeah, I think it's just a great course fit for him, and I think that just motivates him even more to go out and play really well this week.
I thought it was kind of a bad look, but then again, I am also on the safety side. It was a good thing that he didn't go and interact and physically touch, other people. I can't bury this anymore. I can't. Now, I wrote this down in my notes as the meme of the decade. What I'm referring to, obviously, for people that don't know, Brooks Koepka was being interviewed and, he had just lost the tournament to Phil. And so, the reporter's doing his job, asking him questions. Now, Bryson DeChambeau happened to walk in front of the camera, so technically behind Brooks Koepka, and kind of murmured some stuff, saying maybe his line was off on his putt. And Brooks Koepka delivered the deepest eye roll that a kid at Toys R Us probably couldn't even duplicate. I mean, it was the funniest thing I've probably seen in a long time, and the internet exploded. Twitter had a field day. I mean, there was talk radio shows that they led off with that. Like it wasn't even the tournament itself; it was him and his reaction. Can you speak on this whole feud? I guess between DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka.
Yeah, Brooksy, let me ask you this first. Do you think someone got fired over leaking that video?
The reporter has no idea. He's on camera. He's interviewing. I'm just like, was it an intern? Was it like a part-time producer that had access to this file? Because I mean, Brooks was like, God, fucking Christ, or said something ridiculous like, "All right,
Yeah.
fucking restart. I lost my fucking train of thought," like all that shit. And it was just so raw. I think that's why everyone loved it so much. That guy might be gone because I tried looking for that profile as well. Nowhere to be seen. So
Oh man.
maybe it was a third party account. Again, that's the headache that the Golf Channel and other people have to deal with, TV execs. But for a while, because I saw this, I don't know if it's a clause or some stipulation where the PGA is trying to be more, I guess, socially aware with their players. They don't want the stiff old white dudes anymore. They want like vibrant, energetic guys to boost their brand. So I saw this thing where there's certain players that can benefit, monetarily if they get a certain number of engagement on social media. So Brooks is winning by miles. So hey, I'm sure he got a nice check cut to him. Is this a gig? Is this like script? Like, is this real? Like, or because if it is, it's great for golf.
First off, the person that leaked that is an absolute legend. Not only
Yes, thank
because
you.
not only because we got the meme of the decade, but also like imagine not seeing that and thinking that their hate for each other didn't run that deep. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
just really showed us how Brooks really feels about Bryson. And I think, look, I think part of it is for show. I think I think it's more so Brooks than it is Bryson. Like I think Brooks actually dislikes Bryson quite a bit. And I think Bryson is kind of like whatever, but the more he gets engagement from other people, the more people bring it up and all that. I think he's starting to get more annoyed than anything. But I think it's Brooks that doesn't like Bryson, and Bryson's starting to just get kind of fed up with it. But I do think some of it is definitely for show. And I know Brooks came out the other day and was talking about how this is good for the game of golf. It grows the game of golf. And Bryson, I think, reposted it to his story on Instagram. So there's something there that
So
tells
much
me like,
pettiness.
yeah, there's something there that tells me there's pettiness going on, but also they're both aware that it could be good for the game to have. It just draws attention to, if not those two, at least the game itself. And I think that's really cool. You know, the two young guys that are just kind of like going at it a little bit. Two very different players. One practices arguably too much. One doesn't practice at all. So it's one of those things where it's just really cool how different they are. And so I think there's some truth to it, but I also think it might be a little skewed, so to speak,
Yeah.
for you know for the views. But I don't know if you heard they wanted to pair him up this week for the U.S. Open,
Yes.
and Bryson and his agent declined. So
Pussy.
yeah, I don't know what that's about. Yeah, Brooksy. I think I don't know. I think part of it might be, you know, he wants to be focused and go out there and win another major championship. I mean, he's the defending champion, and
Yeah.
maybe he'd be more open to it on a smaller tournament.
Mhm.
I think he probably just thinks that now is probably not the time. But that would have been great. I mean, that would have been so good for the game of golf, and so many people would have tuned in just to see that. So that would have been pretty funny.
Yeah, I agree. I think if this is like the John Deere Open, then yeah, he would
What are you talking
probably.
about? That's the fifth major.
Oh yeah. uh, no, I think the magnitude of this, there is, look, he is a professional golfer, and there is a task at hand that he's trying to accomplish. I think that just speaks more on Brooks though, because I think he would be able to still have, obviously this animosity and be able to play to the camera, but he's so focused that he would still be able to perform. Like he could go and shoot 4 under on the round. And, Bryson's the type of guy, it just seems he has to have every analytical step in his head. The scientist, as they claim him, for it. I wish they would have done it. That would have been hilarious. But so I said I'd circle back to Phil. He just seems to be cashing in on every sort of venture. So the match, part 2, is on July 6th. So it's another pairing of Tom Brady, who is another old guy who, again, commend, won the Super Bowl. He eats the avocado ice cream, rubs it on his dick. He does everything. He's all good. And he's paired up with Phil. So I think it's like July 6th. So, a couple days after the 4th of July. It's that really slow day of the sports calendar year. Now they're going against the aforementioned Bryson DeChambeau and Aaron Rodgers, who is still competing with Patrick Reed for the most bizarre family estrangement award of the year.
It's just going to be so interesting. And Aaron Rodgers is, I think, is a better golfer than Tom Brady, and it's not even close. So, well, it's probably closer than I think, but Aaron Rodgers is good. I mean, he's a good golfer. So I actually think this is going to be a really close match. I think it might be better than, Tom Brady and the Peyton Manning thing we saw. To be honest, I do. I think Rodgers is a funny guy, and I think he's a good golfer. So I think the team is kind of interesting, Bryson and Aaron together, but I think it's going to be a good match. So, if I have the time that day, I'm definitely going to try to tune in and watch it. But yeah, I'm more looking forward to the memes and the Twitter game after the match is over. I think that's going to be great. So
I heard he's a really good golfer. Like I've seen clip, like he just
yeah,
looks so fluid and everything. Now he's not going to mini camp, and I'm not sure where I heard this. I read it somewhere, maybe a blurb, some aggregate. He might be doing shrooms right now. He just does not care, does not want to go to mini camp and could care less. And it's almost like daring the Packers. And then training camps later in July.
I mean, my thought on that is why go to mini camp when you can hit the mini bar in Maui? I mean,
Right. Yeah. But unlimited Mai Tais with this
yeah,
Shailene Woodley and Miles Teller.
yeah. No, it's a good question. I love it. Like, we'll see what happens, but look, I mean, he's enjoying himself. What are you gonna do?
He's earned it. Corey, thank you again, as always. Great stuff today. That was really fun.
Yeah, thank you, man. I always have fun coming on, chit chatting with you and catching up and talking some golf. Hope you guys out there are able to win some money this week and enjoy a great tournament. Yeah, sad we're not gonna be able to go see it, but man, I'm still gonna watch. I can't wait. And with this contract, hopefully I'll be on for the next one.
You for sure will. All right. Thanks, Corey.
Thanks, brother.